Hey everybody,
Hello.
welcome to Sacramento Cornerstone Childbirth. We're glad you're here. We are simulcasting on Instagram today as well, so we're still, we're still working out kinks in technology and figuring it out. We did have a little bit of a blunder last week, so if you didn't see it,
I hope you enjoyed it if you did.
oh
too.
yeah, look for our video on birth preferences.
Yes.
It's hilarious. You have to watch to the end. But anyway, I think we have it figured out now. And
I have to say hello to Kim because
hi.
I missed her the last 2 times and she's a little temperamental. So, hi, Kim.
Hi, Kim. Thanks for coming. So, do you know what your rights are in the birthing room? Do you believe that you know what they are? Chances are what you think they are and what they actually are a little bit different. So, even if you are planning an out-of-hospital birth, be it a home birth or a birth center birth, you really would benefit from getting this information in case of a hospital transfer, either during your pregnancy, during your labor, or even during your postpartum period. So we're going to introduce ourselves. We're going to dive into the topic. If you think of a question, please put it in the comments. We are probably not going to see you at Instagram from here, but we'll do our best. We'll try to answer questions at the end if anybody has any. So we want to welcome you, and thanks to our viewers that are watching us on the replay. If you can hear us loud and clear, hit the like button. Feel free to tag any of your expecting friends that could benefit from this information, and let us know where you're watching from. We always like to see where in the world you are. So I am Amy Moy, and my personal practice is Riverbend Birth Services. I am a birth doula, a Cornerstone childbirth educator, a Cornerstone certified birth doula, and I'm also a placenta specialist. And
I'm Jen Kelly, and my personal business is Belly to Bliss Birth Services. I am a trained birth doula and a trained Cornerstone childbirth educator.
And together we have formed Sacramento Cornerstone Childbirth. So we're so excited about our partnership. We love teaching together. We have a blast, and I think our participants have even more fun just watching our banter and how we, chime in, and we're just fun. We're a fun group. So, okay, today.
Real quick, sorry. If you're watching on Instagram, I'm not sure if anybody is or not, but it just got interrupted. So please continue to watch. It did come back.
Oh, good. Did we blip out?
It was a phone call.
Oh,
sorry.
Social butterfly.
Right?
Okay, so this is a heavy topic, but it's so, so important. And sometimes we feel like when we share this information, we can come across as the radical birth workers, and any information that we share with you is in the spirit of informing you, right? So we're not trying to spread fear. We're not trying to insinuate that this is how we think your birth will be in terms of having to do heavy advocating for yourself. As we've talked about in previous videos, it really starts with your chosen birth location and your care provider. So, if you feel good about those, then this information is only going to benefit you in the birthing room. So when we talk about informed decision-making, we are talking about making decisions when a care provider or nurse is making a suggestion for a particular intervention, be it a medicinal intervention or procedural in the birthing room. So these are both informed consenting decisions or informed refusals of those interventions. And we're going to talk about the difference between the two and how to know when to make one or the other and how to get the information that you need. So where did this come from? So, we teach about informed decision-making in our class, but I recently took an amazing training. I was so sad you couldn't go.
I was bummed.
but it's good that one of us did. So now we both have the information. Someone in our Sacramento birth community who is a marriage and family therapist and just an all-around amazing person, she recently became an evidence-based birth instructor. And we're so stoked that she did, because she's bringing really good information to our birth community. So she taught a mashup training of evidence-based births, Savvy Birth Pro, and Kristen Pascucci of Birth Monopoly's Know Your Rights training. Hers is an online training. So it was a mashup of the two, and then participants got access to the full Know Your Rights online course. So I completed both of those. So the information that we're going to share today, we have to give a lot of credit to Kristen Pascucci at Birth Monopoly and Rebecca Decker of Evidence-Based Birth for sharing their wisdom and knowledge that they have culled together in terms of birthing rights. And also, you know, Julie Tilsner and Nikki Tilsner, who wrote the amazing curriculum that we teach, who are so focused on birthing rights. And, you know, their tagline is your body, your choice. And we really do teach that in our classes. So the training I took rocked my world. And what we're doing today is we're combining the information that we already teach with my new learning.
So why do you need to make informed decisions about your kid? Super important. So as Kristen Pascucci of Birth Monopoly states in her Know Your Rights online course, people are probably traumatized people. This goes for the birthing person, partners, support people like doulas, nurses, and care providers. We all have the potential of bringing fear into the decision-making process when it comes to such a high-stakes event like giving birth to a baby. Though many can be or have the illusion of being supported and invested in the kind of birth experience that their patients are seeking, at the end of the day, their patients are in a hospital setting. So they have their policies and goals in mind, which is healthy mom, healthy baby. So super important, but there's so much more to that.
Yeah, we like healthy moms and healthy babies.
Yes, definitely. But there's so much more that can be added into that, and it's kind of oversees the whole experience that you have during childbirth. So in our individual practices and also in our childbirth education class that we teach, is that new parents are free from birth trauma and obstetric violence. That is the thing. Go on to a smooth postpartum period, and they're able to feel great, like I said, about their birth experiences, and have an easier time bonding and establishing feeding and all that kind of good stuff.
So it's actually okay that you feel good about your birth experience.
Isn't that amazing?
Right. That's the third part.
Yes.
So I kind of talked about a little bit why we're having this talk. So we're not having this talk because we don't like care providers. We love care providers. We need care providers to take care of our clients who are having assisted births, right? We're definitely not suggesting that you go against what your care provider is recommending that you do. We are not suggesting that you make decisions that put you or your baby at risk. You know, we want you happy and healthy and doing well in your postpartum as well. We are having this talk today because we want you to be an active participant in your birth experience. You know, we've said it before, and we'll probably keep saying it.
We'll say it a lot.
We don't want things done to you. We know that sets you up for those woulda, coulda, shouldas that we talk about. We know that when you are an active participant, and you know, even if you change your mind midway through your birth and what you thought you wanted is now not on the table, that's okay. We want you to feel good about your experience. And part of that is understanding how to get the information you need in order to make informed decisions. And so, everything that we share with you today and every day is in the spirit of sharing information. We're not fear mongers. We tell the truth about birth.
Yes.
But we want you to have good information so that you have a full tool belt of ways to get as close to the birth experience that you're seeking.
And I think it's almost the complete opposite of having a lot of information is not, fear mongering, because it's like you need all this information to make these decisions. Yeah. So it's all about information and, like you said, tool belt stuff.
Absolutely.
And sometimes the discussion can be a little bit scary, but it's not the intention of giving you information.
Yeah, it's that quote that we love, right?
Yes.
If I don't know my options, I don't have any. Diana Corte, who is the author of the VBAC Companion, VBAC Facts, she stated that so well. It's so true. You don't know what you don't know. And so we want to make sure that you know it.
Absolutely. So what does it look like? What does informed consent look like? So when recommending a medical intervention, be it a procedure or medicine, your provider is obligated to have a discussion with you and share the following information, basically. The benefits of the intervention, the risks of the intervention, alternatives, and the potential risks and benefits of those alternatives. So once that information is all shared with you, you have the right to say yes or no in response to the proposed intervention, procedure, anything like that. So you do not have to justify your reasoning or come out as the victor of an argument just to convey your decision making to your care provider.
One thing I didn't talk to you about before was something that Kristen Pascucci says in her training. No is a complete sentence. We've heard it before, but no, full stop.
Period.
No.
Yes. So then after that discussion and after you give a yes, no answer to your care provider is obligated to respect and support. Let's say that one more time. Respect and support your decision. Even in the cases where you are in direct opposition of what they perceive as the right answer to the question. And you're trying to keep your baby and yourself healthy, of course. The same thing with your care provider, but just because you don't align in your thought process of the answer to his questions or her questions to what your care should be, doesn't mean that they should not support you.
Absolutely. But don't take our word for it. I have some handy dandy quotes from ACOG, which is the Obstetrician and Gynecologists Professional Organization, American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. So in their paper entitled Ethical Decision Making in Obstetrics and Gynecology, they say the following. A competent pregnant woman is the appropriate decision maker for the fetus that she is carrying. And pregnancy is not an exception to the principle that a decisionally capable patient has the right to refuse treatment, even treatment needed to maintain life. Therefore, a decisionally capable pregnant woman's decisions to refuse should be respected. And unfortunately, we have seen coercion used in the birthing room. And coercion looks a couple of different ways. So it could mean appealing to the patient's emotions, and we have some examples. It could mean threatening that you're going to have your baby taken away from you. It could mean placing undue psychological or pressure or intimidation on you. And, last but not least, we don't like to talk about it, but pulling the dead baby card is something that people have experienced. And so we're going to go back and forth and offer you some suggestions of or examples of things that have been heard in the birthing room.
We need you to be on continuous fetal monitoring. You don't want to hurt your baby, do you?
Right. Our hospital policy states that we give IV fluids routinely to all patients.
It's safest to push on your back. So can you please flip over?
You've had a C-section before, so why don't we just wheel on down to the OR and have another C-section today. Let's do that now.
We've heard all of those.
Yeah.
So consent forms that you sign when you are admitted into a hospital, those are consent to treat, and they do not take your rights away to refuse interventions or medications. You can alter those consent forms if that makes you feel good, as to put in things that are super important to you that you are passionate about not happening, or even in the event of that kind of a thing. Your care providers can also alter those forms. So that's another tip that we want to make sure that you are aware of. You have the right to say, no, I do not consent. That is a big thing. So in other words, those forms do not hold any kind of legal binding. Kristen Pascucci states you cannot sign away your civil rights.
Absolutely. And even if you sign a consent form as you're being admitted to the hospital, or if you do your pre-admission paperwork, once you get to the hospital and, the bleep is real and you want to make a decision that might go against what you signed, you can still change your mind. The best way to do it is to say, I do not consent, but no is also perfectly reasonable. Kristen Pascucci talks about how that language, I do not give consent, speaks to their language. And so that sort of sometimes gets across a little bit differently.
Yes.
So what about hospital policies? Did you know that they're not actually laws? Hospital policies are preferences. They're, routines. They're the way that they've always done things. They are often presented in this must-do fashion. So like one of the examples we gave was, we give routine IV fluids to everybody, so let's get your IV hooked up. Well, that might be your policy, but it's not necessarily an evidence-based practice, and you do not need to consent to it if it doesn't feel like a right decision for you. Just as your consent forms are not legally binding, neither are hospital policies. And, I feel like we've said this before, but I think it's because we say it in our classes all the time. You may not know that current hospital policy is based on research from about 15 to 20 years ago. So what does that mean? That means today's current research, 2018, current research will take 15 to 20 years to become adopted as hospital policy. So what does that say about the policies at your birthing location? We definitely do recommend that you become familiar with your chosen birthing location's policies. You can find them online. Recently, I did a search for all of the neighboring hospitals, downloaded the documents, and I have those printed to hand to my clients so that they have that and can refer to it. That can give you an idea of where you're going to need to do more advocacy based on their policies, which really could be described also as hospital culture, right? Birth culture.
Yeah.
This is how we do birth at our hospital.
And so what can you do if your care provider does not have an informed decision-making conversation with you? Ask the following questions. we say this a lot, and
Mhm.
these are the important ways to
Yep.
start any conversation.
Yep.
Am I okay? Is baby okay? If the answer to that is yes, then it's not an urgent emergency now. It could be an urgent thing that's coming up, but it's not a true emergency. I'm sorry, I should say that better. And so basically, you haven't gotten to the point of kind of like the no return, and it looks like an emergency when it is an emergency. Mm-hmm. So if you're able to start a conversation, or they're coming in and actually stating to you in a way of it looking like a conversation, it is not a true emergency. Mm-hmm. And we do see that a lot in conversations that we've had with people that have had things that they perceive as an emergent situation, when it's an urgent situation. Mm-hmm. Or it could be working its way to an urgent emergency situation. But if you're asking questions like this, they're answering questions to you, you have time for this conversation.
Absolutely. And so a lot of you might be familiar with the acronym BRAIN. I believe it comes from Penny Simpkins' work.
I believe so too.
And BRAIN stands for benefits, risks, alternatives, intuition. So what is your intuition telling you? And depending on the birth worker you talk to, N is either need more time or do nothing. Rebecca Decker talks about another acronym, BRAND, and in that case, the D stands for discuss or decide.
That's the first time I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
So keep asking questions until you have reached the point to where you can make an informed decision. Some people, it's one or two questions. Sometimes it is multiple questions. Sometimes it's going back and asking the same question again and with more clarity needed. So keep asking until you get the information to make these informed decisions.
All right. And then once you feel like you're ready to make that decision, once you have all the information that you need, if you haven't already, clear the room and, have a good conversation with an experienced birth worker, doula. If you have a doula in the room, or, just talk it over with your partner, your family members, whoever's in the room with you, make that final decision, and then invite your care provider back into the room and let them know what your decision is.
And when you do invite them into the room, just say it. Say your decision. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to argue. Yeah. It shouldn't be this big production. They should, again, respect and support the decision that you've made.
Definitely. Sometimes you have to sign an AMA. AMA stands for Against Medical Advice. So if it gets to that level, then you make that decision. Right. But yes, your care provider is obligated to support your decision. If you are still getting pushback at that point, if you're not feeling like your decisions are being respected, then you can ask for a new nurse. If it's your nurse that is not jiving with you, ask for a new care provider that's on call. The way you do that is you ask for the charge nurse, you have a conversation with the charge nurse, and you say, in whatever way you need to say, I'm sure this person is kind and just fine. We are not jiving. We would like a new nurse. At that point, things should improve, but if they don't,
you should go a step further and ask for, every hospital has a patient advocate, and if they don't have a patient advocate, they have a chaplain. And that's the next step that you should take if you're not feeling supported in decision making.
Yep. And Kristen Pascucci talks about how having that weighted person like a patient advocate or a chaplain in the room is eyes on the patient.
Right.
It's a witness. If things get to the point where your care provider or your nurse or your care provider are doing something that is going against what you are consenting to, we do recommend, just for your own paperwork and any kind of future complaint or litigation, that you demand that the nurse document in your chart that the care provider is attempting to perform a procedure or administer a medication that you've not consented to.
Right. So we highly recommend being assertive during your pregnancy. So whether or not your care provider seems to be 100% supportive of everything that you have on your birth preferences document, and if you haven't written that birth preferences document yet, please see our previous video for more information on how to make a really awesome one. But you won't know whether or not your care provider will be the one on call when you go in to give birth at any given day or time. So we have some great practice statements that we want to share from you from Birth Monopoly.
In our class, so come see us for our class.
Yes.
So if at any point along the way during your pregnancy you get new information about your birthing location or your care provider's practice, be it you look up birth stats or you hear through the grapevine or in the SAC birth community Facebook group, you hear about a reputation that doesn't jive with your approach to birth, then it is not too late to transfer your care or change birthing locations. It can feel daunting.
Yes.
But up until like 39, 40 weeks, even if you're still pregnant and not in labor, you can make a call to your insurance provider and let them know that you are making a change and you'd like their support. And while we don't usually recommend it, we do just want to put it out there that any birthing location that you show up to in labor has to take care of you. We don't recommend relying on that, but you have to be cared for. So just throwing that out there.
Putting it out in the universe.
So do we have questions today? So we're going to scroll. Lisa says, good stuff. Thanks for watching, Lisa. Hi, Connie. Hey, Diane. And Shaylin popped in and said hello. Again, we cannot see Instagram from here.
We're going to look like two blind old.
I know. We'll check in, though. Any questions while we're on about informed decision-making? Anything that we can answer now? If we end the live video and you come up with a question once we're finished, please put it in the comments and we will be checking back to answer questions along the way. So how to get in touch with us?
How to get in touch with us. Again, Jennifer Kelly, Jen Kelly. My business is Belly to Bliss Birth Services, and you can reach me at bellytobliss.com. Email is jennifer@bellytobliss.com. Phone number is 209-322-5271. Facebook is Belly to Bliss Birth Services. And I think that's all I have. Yes.
I think that's it.
That's it.
All right. And again, I'm Amy Moy. Riverbend Birth Services is my business. riverbendbirthservices.com is my website. You can get information about our childbirth classes at riverbendbirthservices.com /childbirth-education/. Facebook is the same name, Riverbend Birth Services. My Instagram handle is, I always mess it up, Sacramento Doula. Sacramento Doula. We have too many names that it just
swirls in there.
Absolutely. So at Sacramento Doula is my personal Instagram. And then Sacramento Cornerstone Childbirth is
Sacramento Cornerstone Childbirth on Facebook, Sac Cornerstone Childbirth on Instagram, and our email is Sacramento. Nope, Sac. Please forgive.
Yeah.
Sac Cornerstone Childbirth @gmail.com.
There we go. And we're working on our website.
Yes.
So we'll have a website to share with you in the future. We will link all of the resources that we shared in today's video down in the comments, as well as all of our contact information as well. So next week is a surprise.
Yeah.
We're not sure. So if you have an idea about what you'd like us to talk about next week, let us know. Yeah, anything birthy related.
We'll talk about it.
Absolutely. We're birth nerds.
We'll talk your ear off.
All right. So thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you, Instagram.
Yeah. Thanks, Instagram. And we will see you next week. Same time, same place.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Have good birth.
Yes.